KALASK! Greetings. We assume it's about time that we are addressing this particular issue that your apparent species is having for quite some, time. Ridding itself from experiencing such or falling under the illusion of experience of such, rather, the illusion of time. Now, first and foremost, you need to realize whenever you're experiencing what you consider time, you're talking about past, present, future, which obviously aren't real. However, you attach reality to them through your emotional system that's currently hampering you in this regard, where also we are not inflicted by it to the same degree. Now, it can, from what we experience, also be used to overcome it from our perspective. Again, we are not stuck in there. You are, however, you are projecting emotionally in either direction. Either you are fearing the future, or you're hoping for the future. You are regretting the past, or you're being nostalgic about it. You're missing it. In any of those regards, you need to realize that whatever you're experiencing apparently has nothing to do with what you then define as time, because you decide in your conscious mind that whatever it is that you're emotionally projecting out there is not currently in your present reality. That's the illusion, but it is. Now, you are sending something out there, and therefore you're then detaching from it once you send either one of those directions, because you can't fully admit to your responsibility of creating it right here and now. Therefore, since you're not willing to accept the possibility, or really it being no other way than whatever you're wishing for is actually right here now, it doesn't have to happen in the future, and what you're fearing of is actually right here now, it's not gonna happen to you in the future, and what you're apparently missing that was in the past is actually in your mind right now, and you're just making it something that has happened, not currently is happening, because you're refusing to take responsibility for creating it right here now. So of course, with regret, you have emotional sensation about something you reject, but instead imagining or realizing it's here now with you, pretending that it has happened already somewhere in the past. Now, realize, it's not that you're just having the idea and you're projecting it in the future or the past and it appears differently than it would otherwise if you were imagining something else. That's not happening. What's really happening is that it's not your projection onto it. There is nothing that could be projected upon. Your idea of it itself, the projection itself, is entirely made up in your current conscious mind right here and now. Now, obviously, if you want to overcome and get out of this wrong or rather simply deluded mindset, all you have to do is to get in the now moment. And you do so by being fully aware and awake concerning everything that you can possibly perceive. Just admit, that's the first thing. You need to be brutally honest with yourself. Admit that everything is right here now in your own consciousness field, nowhere else, neither in time or space. It's right here, everything you're perceiving. So as you're listening to our voice speaking right now, do this now. Not at any other point in time, as there is no such other point in time. Do this right now. Just be fully present with yourself, with everything you're currently experiencing. Don't try to shut anything out. Don't try to meditate by trying to detach from the world. So because you can't stand the way it is, realize that everything you perceive in your so-called world, the universe, is actually just a projection of your own consciousness, and you need to just fully accept responsibility for your own projection out there, and then you realize that nothing really is going to happen ever, neither good or bad in the future, and nothing good or bad has ever happened in the so-called past. Everything happens with your own consciousness in this very moment that you're listening to the words that are coming out of the vessel's mouth sent by us. So, then likely you will be overwhelmed by whatever it is that you're pushing in your subconscious mind, usually, which gives you the possibility to then pretend that there could be something happening in the future or has happened in the past that has nothing to do with the now moment, which again isn't real. Anything you can possibly imagine right here now to ever be real is real right here now, not anywhere else. So it's not you're too stupid or uneducated to understand the concept, it's that you're much of a coward. You're not fully admitting that everything is actually a present part of your own consciousness right here now. You're just pushing things away because you're not fully willing to admit to them. So it's not like there's a secret trick we can tell you some esoteric practices and you can no longer experience time than you're a master of time and beyond it or whatever the fuck. It's not that we can share anything with you that's a secret workaround. It's all about courage. It's not about information. That's also you grow, how you evolve. No one has ever become more intelligent or more psychically aligned or evolved in any manner by reading or studying or receiving any form of information. The only way you can fully intellectually or psychically evolve ever is through one thing: courage and honesty. Brutal honesty with yourself. You can lie to other people, nothing wrong with that. You're advocating for being 100% honest in all cases. You must decide to your truthfulness, who you interact with, and if you interact with other individuals truthfully or not. We don't recommend either option, your choice. Just be aware when you're interacting with others, truthful or untruthful, your connection with them, and of course if you create an untrue connection with a person, you can be aware of that if you're interacting with them. Now, more importantly, however, how you interact with yourself. You don't get punished by God or whatever if you lie to other people, but you certainly get punished by your own consciousness if you lie to yourself. That's probably the worst thing you can possibly do in your life, if you're dishonest with yourself. No matter what you do with other people, if you're dishonest with yourself, you hamper your progress more than anything else. And it's also the very reason you're experiencing something that you call time, because you're dishonest about what you're creating and what you're pulsing out in your current moment. The same reason you put blame on other individuals, nothing wrong with hating other people, killing other people, or the fuck if you are enjoying such a world. As long as you're taking responsibility for your own creation, you're still giving others power. And of course, it's not just individuals or entities such as us, or other members of your own species, or other members of other species on your planet, or whatever. It's also ideas, such as time. You're giving a responsibility over to another version of yourself that you define then as a future version that could possibly experience something. Like, I want this in my life, but my future me will probably experiencing it. But I don't, because you can't truly trust your co-creative potential. Or, well, I need to be afraid because my future self could be experiencing this, but not me, it's not me. Well, you're experiencing it right now, otherwise you wouldn't be imagining or thinking about it. There is no future self of yours. Same as with your so-called past. If you have the idea, well, yeah, my past self was very stupid, that's why I regret that I did those stupid things. Or my past self did those great things, if I could only be like that again. I was so naive as a child, but everything was much more fun, whatever the fuck. No. Whatever you're projecting out there, positive or negative in either direction, comes from now, here, and you just need to be brutally honest with the idea that you are indeed the one creating all of this. Of course, some suggestion that makes you very lonely if you have the idea that everything is just a projection. Well, in one way it does, but on the other hand you have to realize this is exactly how you get in power, how you get into control of your reality. And really, once you realize everything is somewhat interconnected anyway, then there is no point of having such a sensation either. And indeed, if you do open up to a degree, to your now moment, you will ironically then feel much more connected to any possible version that from your perhaps less aware mind you would still have to find as being on a different timeline. You will indeed experiencing all of them simultaneously, because that is exactly what they are. It's just your conscious mind that cannot cope with the possibility of so many different timelines happening simultaneously and then projecting it because it feels overwhelmed. But again, it doesn't have to be in the sensation of overwhelmment. All it takes is the courage to admit that now, the here moment, the very moment you currently listen to our speech, You are actually all of the things that you can possibly imagine that could be your past, present, or future selves. You are them right here now, and nothing can possibly happen that is not right here now happening that you're currently perceiving. If you can think of it, it is happening right now. There's not a possibility of it happening. There's not a possibility of it having happened, ever. It is happening right here now. And you are perceiving it exactly the way it is happening right here and now. It's that simple. Once you get into that place, you will also be a master creator because you no longer push responsibility for your own co-creations somewhere else. Not just on other people, but on the same person, your so-called past or future self, or parallel self for that matter. It's all about taking responsibility for being the person that you can imagine you could possibly be. Just realizing that is who you are. There is no past or future you, and therefore no past or future experiences or perceptions anybody could ever make other than the ones that you're already thinking about, that you're imagining, and therefore you're having through your imagination, through your current creation, nowhere outside of it. In order to do that, you need to simply be grounded. And that of course means you need to be also in touch with your own physical form, your respective body, everything connected to it, therefore also your lower chakra system, the idea of being in touch with your physical reality, so don't try to escape time by escaping your idea of physical presence, identity, interest, etc. It's all encompassed, and of course obviously anything that goes beyond the physical is also still in the same now moment. So really, if you are in any of those instances aligned, then there is no necessity to ever jump to what you would consider another time point. So it's not an idea you need to warp time, you need to, well, jump anywhere else and then experience what you consider time travel, which again also is of course possible, as there is, well, the understanding of being in a certain place beyond time by what we described previously. And if you're in such a place, then you can travel both physically faster, what you consider the speed of light, for example, as well as, well, to what you would consider another point in time, in a timeline. However, this simply happens, or you're rather perceiving it happening, because you define yourself at being at that same other place, as we refer to also in our idea about telepathy, or rather telekinesis, the whole point where you're simply exiting a certain place and you're redefining your coordinates. In this time frame, you're simply redefining your point, your coordinates, or the timeline. You simply identify with a version of yourself that is a certain place in what you would, from your current ego perspective, your psychological experience, define as being in that moment in a linear timeline. However, again, as there is no timeline in the way you're imagining it, time doesn't function in such a manner. You simply redefine your projection out there, and then you therefore will experience a different point where you indeed will what you then, from your current scientific endeavor limitational view, would define as time traveling. But really you're not traveling at all. You're actually changing the entire cosmos around yourself to match your current frequency. So not just that you can change physical reality, like for example you could turn a car into a tree, etc., by simply redefining what it is in your perception. You redefine the entire cosmos and everything that you are perceiving it to be, which basically exists in your perception, to be completely, well, readjusted around yourself, so therefore you are no longer in one particular place, apparently, that you were one moment earlier you defined as a moment. Instead, everything else now is different from your perception. Therefore, it seems like now there is another time, but really there's nothing that you didn't move from one point to another, neither physically nor in time. You simply stepped outside time by the previously explained method of getting in the now moment, the whole idea of simply being brutally honest with your current state and letting whatever crop up and deal with it right here now. Again, what's required is courage, more information. Your subconscious mind is much aware of it, you're just shying away from it, from unprocessed ideas, one reason or another, that you're projecting then to be the past or the future. Once you do away with such, then indeed also such a concept as time traveling will be possible, because you can simply adjust the coordinates. Your coordinates of a particular what you then, from your ego perspective, would define the timeline, but in reality, your perception of another point in time is simply changing your perception to who and what you are in relation to everything else, or rather, everything else will have to change then in the relation of who and what you are, including what you perceive as time, because it's nothing but a coordinate. As we will explain previously, you can go back and listen to our lecture on this topic. You simply changed coordinates, both in physical distance as well as in perceived timely distance. You simply change your coordinates once you are at that point of, well, the non-movable mover, for what you are aware in your Chinese teachings were aware of such a concept. That's somewhat correct. You are indeed such an individual if you refine yourself to be as such, and therefore, from this point on forward, you can not just co-create with others or become aware that you are the only creator of your own reality, both physically as well as on a timeline. That's not just how you rid yourself of the illusion, that's how you can use whatever there is in both of those instances, physically or timely, to your own advantage. But what it first requires is simply being physically present, being grounded, being, well, whatever you can possibly perceive to be, and admitting that you are everything that you are perceiving at this now moment, and therefore not projecting anything out there in any past or future, which indeed will of course always adapt your version of the past or future to what you're projecting out, but you are exactly who you define yourself to be. That also includes the concept of bilocation, for example. You are who you define yourself to be in relation to those concepts, and therefore you will appear, reappear, or disappear from an outsider's perspective, which doesn't exist anyway, on any particular timeline. You will simply change your coordinates by doing so. Also, if you keep your third eye open in the process, in your crown, etc., you're also in connect what you're considering perhaps your higher self, or what else is there beyond what you're considering currently your physical identity, which is indeed also beyond time and much more aware of it, and you will come ironically then, once you make that process, the step, more in touch with it, right? It will not just enter your life to a greater degree, you will simply identify more with who and what you really are, beyond what you currently perceive as your time frame. But in order to do so, you need to own up all your different versions that you have defined that have been in the past or could be in the future. You need to admit that you are all of those right now. That's all it takes.